Hi, folks, in the Cobb TV studios with Cobb County Chairman Mike Boyce for our weekly chat, and it's been a busy week, and we're not even done yet.
What month are we in?
Monday we had the work session that concentrated on regional transit, and we got a ton of emails too that came in when we requested them.
That's wonderful. That's terrific.
And it's hard to make out really where the public stands even after reading all those emails. Does that make sense?
It does, because this is not a simple issue. As I said last week in my illustration of the multi-layered cake or the multi-flavored pie, there are a lot of fingers in the pie. And when you have that many fingers in the pie, you get that many opinions times 100, because behind every finger, there's a lot of people that have, an interest in that particular position. We're having a luncheon with the delegation again this week, and what we want to do is kind of take to them what we've been hearing over the last week since we had lunch with them last week. The good news is that I'm hearing from both sides of that. This is a bipartisan issue. So I've been hearing from both Republicans and Democrats on the delegation about this issue. And what's very satisfying to me is that our information campaign about this issue clearly is starting to work. And I say that in a kind way because I'm also in a position where we have a lot of work to do, but there's still only 24 hours a day, so we have to be very careful about prioritizing our time. The delegation, their time frame is squeezed into a couple months, where we get 12 months to talk about issues. They get 2 months to talk about issues. So of course, they have to be very careful about how they allocate their time. So I wouldn't expect them to know and read all the material that we do. So we're focusing on informing them, the public, and I'm really gratified to see that we're getting this public input.
And if I can put a theme to some of the emails we've gotten, there's those that say no and those that say yes, but a large group in the middle say we're for it as long as it's done right for Cobb.
Absolutely right. And what's right for Cobb is called a referendum. One of the big issues we heard at the last week's delegation is that what are we buying with the money? Okay, and that's a great question, because that's the question you should always ask in Cobb County. I say over and over again, this is a very physically conservative county. They watch every single dime that's being spent out of their wallet. And so they're involved in the process. And I'm trying to get them even more involved in the process, because by doing that, when we now go and discuss an issue, there's meat behind it. There's substance behind it, because we have the people involved in it. And right now, what I'm seeing is that this is not going to be something that's going to be resolved very easily. Let's be honest about this whole thing. My observation is that we're doing this right now because of the initiative to try and lure companies like Amazon to this area. And I keep hearing, although it's not empirical, it's more anecdotal, is that one of the reasons companies like Amazon won't come here is because we don't have a regional transportation plan. Well, that may be the case, but I think it's really important to understand that this county, for 30 years, has the best transit system when it comes to buses in the metro area. We have 3.4 million riders a year that use that system. When we had the work study on Monday, they did an overlay of where the people are coming from and where they're going to, and the bus routes serve that purpose. So I don't think we need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We have an established, successful program here. Is it subsidized? Yes, it is subsidized. But every transit system in America is subsidized. And my argument is that for the $12 million that we subsidize our bus system, that's 3.4 million less cars on the road every year. It's 3.4 million riders that are getting to work. And we need to make sure that we blend this into whatever equation comes out of the legislature, because it makes no sense for them to pass something that I can't put in the form of a referendum, not I, but the board can't put in the form of a referendum that's going to pass. Because if they do that, then we're right back to where we were before. So they can go around pointing the finger at Cobb saying, well, they didn't want to play, when in fact they wrote legislation that we couldn't play because of the way of the wording. So that's why we're constantly engaging with the delegation. I'm meeting with Representative Tanner this week to make sure that he understands that as the board chairman, I'm conveying what I'm hearing from our board and from our people.
One of the big frustrations in the emails is people not knowing whether they should support it yet because there's not a project list out yet.
Couldn't agree with you more. And that's why we're being very careful that whatever comes out of that, one of the measures that has to come out of this legislation is that we have to have control of the project list. Because by having control of the project list, then we're able, based on what we know about Cobb County, because the reality is the delegation and we as the board, we, more than anyone else in the Atlanta area, know our people. We know what their needs are. So we should be able to shape a project list that reflects what they want to use it for. And by doing that, when we take that to referendum, they'll vote on it and they'll pass it. But if they don't have something that meets their needs, we're just whistling in the wind.
And as you said before, the referendum, if we pass it, it doesn't necessarily just mean buses and trains.
That's the thing about the project. It's a project list. It's wide open. I've said everything is on the table. And right now, people know when I say everything, I mean it's on the table. Why is that? Because that's how we start the discussion. If I limit the discussion, then that means I've already got a preferred point of view, and it's not a fair discussion, and it doesn't take us to somewhere that we may want to go. I say over and over again, if you want to know what to do here in America, ask the people. And I'm trying to have a forum here by what you're doing here, by the delegation, by these medias, this weekly video. We want to hear from you, because we're going to take your points of view and we're going to meld them into something that you can vote for in a referendum.
Well, you mentioned it's been a busy week, and earlier this week we had a meeting. We broadcast on Cobb TV. It's not really very popularly attended, the Solid Waste Management Authority, but you mentioned it opened your eyes to a lot of things going on in the county that affect everyone.
Sure. Well, the reason it's probably not well attended is because it was 8 o'clock in the morning, all right? And I was barely awake at 8 o'clock. You know, I cannot emphasize enough how, like, when you get into office, you see things from another side of the fence. You get involved in things that you sort of took for granted because they always worked. Well, we have some incredible contractors and volunteers that work very hard every day to make sure this county takes care of its waste issues. And I understand that there's parts of the county where there's litter. You know, the other morning I came out of my driveway, and I live in East Cobb, and somebody had thrown their sandwich bag out the window of their car and dumped it on my lawn, all right? So there's bad actors. But you know, these bad actors are the ones that are contributing to this problem because they don't take any responsibility. We have to pick up for them. And you're gonna see some slides here as I'm talking here that shows you, well, first of all, from the moment, for instance, when you take your garbage can, you leave it on the curb, and your contractor picks it up, it goes somewhere where it's processed by the county. And we have amazing contractors who take that garbage, all right, and they take it to a landfill outside the county. The problem we're having right now is that because we're a growing county, both business-wise and residential-wise, we have plenty of landfill to take it to, but these landfills have what we call cells, and the cells is where they put, the waste material that they take in the big trucks. And the trouble is that we have to, go through a permitting process, and we can't build the cells fast enough to accommodate the increasing amount of solid waste that we're bringing out there. But the other good part is that you're going to see from these slides that we have a very robust recycling program, and we're going to even expand it. Right now, Dow Chemical has come in with a grant, and we're one of 2 counties in America that's going to start processing these bags you get when you have chips in them, potato chips, or your styrofoam cups. They're going to have special receptacles in the county. We're going to be recycling those too. So the bottom line here is that between our contractors and our volunteers like Keep Cobb Beautiful, do we have pockets of problems? Sure we do, but I can guarantee you it would look a lot worse if it wasn't for the magnificent job these contractors do and our volunteers like Keep Cobb Beautiful.
There's an old saying that if you really want to know about someone or something, look at its garbage. You'll learn a lot.
Well, what we want to say here is we don't want you to look at the garbage. We want to take it off your hands so you don't see it. Right. I tell you, the volunteers again, they are part of, when we say expect the best in Cobb, you get the best. That includes our volunteers.
And lastly, you and I are both at the groundbreaking for the North Cobb Regional Library yesterday, and just another event that shows that, even though we may have some budget problems in this county, we are still moving forward with a lot of things. Well,
remember, the budget's is a living document, and people say, well, how is it on the one hand you can be advertising you're trying to close libraries and you're opening libraries? Well, the bottom line here is that all we're doing with discussion with the libraries is we're what I said earlier. We put it on the table early, we discuss it, we hear from the people, and then we shape our budget reflecting on what we hear from the people. And this county has some really quality libraries, and we're going to get even better ones that are going to take us into the 21st century. So again, between the SPLOST dollars and what we do out of general fund, and we can't forget that the state has been very generous in his support of us. $2 million went into the Sewell Mill Library. We're getting, we asked for another couple $1 million this year from them, and they've been very supportive of that. So this is a team partnership between the people, the county, and the state to make sure that we continue to have libraries, which I believe are the cornerstone for a cultured society.
Yeah, you mentioned that they played a big role in your life early on.
Yes.
And that's why you think they're important to have around going forward.
And I went to a library last night, checked out 3 books. So I asked people, show me your library card, I've got mine.
All right, well, I appreciate it. And again, as we move forward with a lot of things going on, subscribe to all the newsletters we offer. Our YouTube and Facebook pages have a lot of information coming forward, and we'll share all that, especially about regional transit and the other hot button topics as we move forward.
Okay, thanks, Ross.
All righty, thank you.
All right.